Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeggerd here. Um, Hopefully, this music's not too loud. I'm actually turning it down a little bit more, just because it's supposed to be good background. Anyway, so I'm doing a video just kind of talking about something a little bit more serious than these food videos and video game review things. Kind of along the lines of what I was saying I was going to do. Before I jump into that, I just want to give a quick shout out to Megaran. This is his music. You might know him as Random as well. He is a nerdcore rapper. This is his song Push. Kind of fits the theme of the video. He gave me a permission years ago to use. I could play his music while I'm doing my videos and doing my streams, and so I always try to give him a shout out. He does great music. I support him. I got him to autograph some of my stuff a few times, so any chance I can get to meet him, he's great. So I really recommend you check out his music. You can look him up all over the place. I'll have his links down below so you can check out his music. You can pull him up, Megaran, on YouTube. You'll find his stuff. He's everywhere. He's great. Check him out on Twitter, all that. So this video, apologize as I take drinks a few times just because it's been a long day at work. My orange juice looks weird. I got my green screen up, so hopefully everything looks better and sounds better. I think I got the sound fixed. Let me know if it's terrible still though. So this video comes because I get told all the time I should write a book kind of about my life and all that stuff, just because I've gone through a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges and struggles. And so people tend to ask me a lot, Jeggerd, how have you gotten to where you are today and the successes that you've had? Of course, I'm no millionaire or anything like that. No, very far from it. But just how have I had the success to be able to go through the things that I've gone through and then get to the point to where I'm at now, in my career and trying to do this life coaching thing and all that stuff. How have I overcome the struggles? Just because I did come from low socioeconomic background, grew up in the ghetto. I can go into that story, but maybe I save that for the book. Anyway, so it's a long-winded response in how I think, because how I think is the reason why I've gotten to where I am. So I'm gonna kind of touch on that and touch on some of the things that I notice other people do that I don't do. So if you're just watching this for just the long and the short answer, if you want the TLDR, then right now the TLDR is that I channel my inner Goku and I just rise to the challenge because I have to and I know I can beat it. And that's really what it boils down to. So, if you don't know, I'm a big Goku fan. I used to watch Dragon Ball as a kid, and Goku really stuck out. And I had my dad around all the time, so he actually was gone out of the house when I was really young. So Goku was, in a way, a huge inspiration. I wouldn't say a father figure, but his ideals kind of helped shape how I view things. And so that's what I did. So, basically into the long-winded answer now. Really, it just comes down to I see all adversity and struggle as a challenge to overcome. And I realized at a young age that everyone is going to deal with some sort of a challenge, no matter what background you come from, whether it's skin tone, whether it's socioeconomic status, whether it's spiritual belief, whether it's living location, whatever the case may be, there's going to be a challenge. And some people are fortunate enough, you say, oh, they got on easy street, they got everything handed to them, but they still deal with a personal struggle as well. No one goes through this life without some sort of a struggle. And so because of that, it helped shape my viewpoint a lot. And so one thing I always try to make sure to not do, which is what I see a lot of people do, not to say that it's wrong, I'm just saying that I don't do it, is seeing people go about with the idea of, oh, this group does not understand my struggle because they haven't walked in my shoes. You know, we can take any example you want. Caucasians don't understand my struggle because they are not an African American, or they may not have came from the background that I came up, or this or that, or this person can't understand the struggles of those from a Latino culture or Spanish culture, or these people can't understand the struggles of someone from a Muslim background or a Christian background, or whatever the case may be, because they didn't live it. They only know what they read or hear from the media, and that's not enough. And I always find that to be a little harsh, in my opinion, to think that someone should not be able to speak to a situation just because they have not walked in those shoes. I don't follow that, because I feel like in the end it's going to make me become more biased against other people, and basically perpetuating the same thing I already feel people would do to me. And it's just going to end up making me not be able to share their insights and perspectives. And some of those people might have interesting thoughts or viewpoints. They might be misguided or naive, or they might just be plain out wrong, or they might have something that actually hits and it's just kind of like, oh wow, I didn't think about it in that way. And so I don't want to push that out, because it helps move the conversation, and you can open up ways and you can speak with them and get to that point to where everyone can come to an understanding. So I look at those things as teachable moments. I know I'm digressing here, getting on a side tangent, but that still kind of feeds into how I think about things. And in those, if you throw away those teachable moments, then all it becomes is just one person chastising or criticizing another person, and no one getting a voice or a say. And then those people who feel like they're being held or biased against or whatever, they develop this big gigantic chip on their shoulder. And that's going to make overcoming any challenge that much harder. I mean, whenever you feel like you have the whole world against you, it makes any task feel monumental. And it may not be as hard as it needed to be. Sorry, the song's on loop, so if you hate it, I'm sorry. I actually like it. I don't mind it looping. But anyway, even though to a certain extent, yes, the world may be against you depending on your situation, but you're just adding an extra challenge in your way, harboring those thoughts and feelings. You can understand and recognize that you will be held to bias against, and that you have things against you, without feeling like it needs to become a big chip on your shoulder that you then have to carry around, and then draw even more negative perspectives and perceptions towards yourself. So I mean, the way I look at it is, I am an exception to a lot of things. Like, if you talk to a lot of people who know me personally, they'll be like, yeah, this guy, and this is not me bragging, this is them saying, this guy is just like on a different level. Whether that means they're saying I'm weird and I'm not like a human because I think differently, or whatever the case, or people giving me compliments and saying that he is an extraordinarily extraordinary person, which, thank you for those compliments. I don't always think that way. I do think that I'm good, but not that good. But I have always tried to think differently, and realize that no matter what situation I'm in, I'm still fortunate with some things. Not everyone is as fortunate as I am, even though I have not been as fortunate as others. I do struggle with a lot of things, and I've had to deal with a lot of stuff to even get to where I am today. I'm still dealing with a lot of things to try to get to where I want to be in the future. But I've gotten here because I recognize that the challenges that I face as being who I am in the society and culture that I grew up in is something that I have to deal with. And I embrace that challenge, knowing that A, I'm strong enough to overcome it, and B, that I will be better for it. No matter how difficult or time consuming it may be, I know I will get over that hump. And so that just gives me the strength and motivation to keep pushing. And I do realize that the challenges that I deal with are based on the location in society and culture I live in now. Whereas if I grew up in, Malaysia, or if I grew up in Germany or wherever, I would be dealing with a different struggle. And so, it's just something that I keep in mind. And I know that I just have to operate in whatever societal struggles that I am in until I get to where I want to be. So it just doesn't make sense to me to carry a chip on my shoulder and say, well, you don't understand this and you don't understand that, because it doesn't help me. If I feel like no one can understand me, how am I going to grow, right? It just creates more work for myself. And I like to be lazy and not have as much. If I already have to work hard, why do I have to give myself more work, right? Let's try to be lazy and keep things simple. And so it's just one of those things, just to kind of keep in mind how fortunate I am in spite of the struggles that I had. I didn't grow up in a country torn by guerrilla warfare. I wasn't kidnapped at the age of 9 to be forced to go in an army and fight against other adults, and all that. So even though I grew up with times where I didn't know where food was going to come from, or we didn't have lights or water, or I needed clothes because they were all ratty and I was getting hand-me-downs of pants that were 3 sizes too big for me and all of that, I still had things to be thankful for. And so now I'm in a position as an adult to where I have more control of my life to a certain degree, to a large degree, really. And so I'm going to look for things that I can do to become the strongest version of myself. And in that will help me overcome the struggles and challenges that I face now. And I draw upon what I learned of the struggles I overcame as a child, as a child through adolescent, all that. I've gone through a lot. Things I already said. I avoided, gang violence in the streets. I avoided being killed by, gang warfare, all that stuff. So I've dealt with a lot. And so I use that to keep going and not worry about all of the biases and discriminations that are out there, to the best that I can. And I am human. I will get frustrated when I know that I'm discriminated against or there's a bias I have to overcome. It's an emotion, and I'm not saying that you can't have that or deal with that, but it's best to not let it consume you. You can be frustrated with it. You can recognize the challenge you have to do to overcome it, but you can't let it stress you to inaction. And that's one of the biggest things that has helped me get to this point. It's just understanding that it is okay to be stressed and frustrated, but making sure that I am able to turn that into something actionable that's going to help better the situation or get me out of that situation. And then that's kind of what I've done to get to this point. And so, another thing that I try to understand, very long video, I'm sorry, I just have a lot swirling up there, and I hate scripts, so I just talk off the cuff. One thing that I also keep in mind too, that I think a lot of us as humans tend to forget, is that even though we go through a struggle and we live it, and that was our daily thing, there's still portions of it we may not understand, either because we were too young or information was withheld or whatever the case may be. So as such, I always try to make sure that I am thinking and challenging ideals of my own perceptions towards the challenges I face and biases I face in the culture, in my heritage and all of that, and try to make sure that those are always teachable moments for me. So I always try to reflect and just see where I could improve in my thinking of the situation that I see myself in, because that will open up new insights and give you more tools in your arsenal towards handling adversity that you deal with at that time and in the future. As Elliot Hulse always says, I always strive to become the best version of myself. And that's very true. I've always done that. And I feel like as long as people are trying to become the best version of themselves that they can be, despite the challenges that they face, they'll always come out on top more than they won't. So, you're not going to come out on top every time. That's also something I have to recognize and utilize in my thinking to be successful, is that there's going to be times where I struggle and I'll fail. And there'll be times where I try to go against a situation and it won't work out. But it doesn't mean everything's over. I don't let that build a chip on my shoulder, and then it's harder to overcome the next situation or a similar situation. So, that's just one thing I tend to see, is people who have chips on their shoulders hold themselves back. And so I try to make sure that I don't. And, the other thing that always gets me to want to be in the best situation that I can and work hard to overcome these challenges that I face is so that I can help others. I mean, I'm a life coach now. I took my degree in psychology just to help people and also to understand my journey. And so I want to be able to make sure that my journey can be something that can help others on theirs. I want to be able to inspire other people. I want to be able to help other people. And so I have to work hard and make sure that I'm, thinking in the right ways and acting in the right ways, so that I can be a positive influence for those around me and those who I come across. And really, that's just why I'm here now. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. I don't have all that glamour and glory. Sure, it'd be great to have it one day, but, I'm not there yet. My finances are still a struggle. There's a lot of things I could use help with. There's a lot of things I still deal with on a daily basis. There's still discriminations and biases I have to deal with and face. But, I always am trying to take steps to remedy that and work as hard as I can to better that situation for me. Because really, at the end of the day, I'm accountable and responsible for my own actions. No one's going to live my life for me. And that's another big realization I had when I was younger. When I saw a lot of people in my neighborhoods having chips and, they're holding us down and we can't do anything and all that stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, that's true. Yes, in our schools, they're not telling us about college. They expect we're going to flunk out, join a gang, and then die on the street. So they're not telling us about college. They're not helping us with this and that. But at the end of the day, it's my choice on whether I follow that path. And yes, sure, you might work hard and fail, but at least I can give it my all and see what happens. I'm not just going to accept the fact that there's this bias, or there's this discrimination, or there's this challenge against me, or that there's this pressure above me, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to work hard to break through it, because if I'm working hard enough, maybe I'll get lucky to get out. And so that's what I did, and that's why I was able to get out of the ghetto. I worked really hard in school. I had A's and B's. I graduated high school with a 4.25 GPA. I was able to get out, and I still do that now. Everywhere I go, no matter where I work or what school I'm doing at school and all that stuff, I bust my butt. I work as hard as I can. Whether I like the job or hate the job, it doesn't matter. I'm going to work hard. And if there's people who are trying to hold me back, then somebody else will see how the hard work that I'm doing, and I maybe gain an ally, or maybe it doesn't work out and I have to take another path, but at least that was a great learning experience. And no matter what happens, no one can look at me and say, well, it's your fault that you're not where you want to be. If I'm not there, everyone's going to know that I tried as hard as I could. And when you try hard, success comes. It takes some time. It takes a lot of patience. There's a lot of stress, but you can get there. You have to remember that you have to be accountable for you at the end of the day. No one else is going to answer for your life. It's just you. So if you have to be responsible for it and you have to be accountable for it, then you should face every challenge confidently and be strong in yourself to know that you can overcome it. I mean, it's your life. You write the book, you're the author, right? So that's just kind of how I try to think about it. And I just try to open as many doors to opportunity as I can by working as hard as I can. And doors will open, doors will close. You got to hope you walk through the right one, or hope you don't slam in your face. But, you know, you just keep going there and you're getting through. And then, you know, you'll find that you've got that toughness and that grit. And you can be a whole lot more successful in ways you may not even have believed you could have been before, or thought that you weren't. So while I'm not where I want to be yet, I would say that I'm definitely successful compared to how I grew up and the societal expectations of where I should have been, which is probably dead at this point. So that's a very long-winded answer to how I get here. That's generally the conversation that I tend to have with everyone anyway. So there, now if you see me in the street, you've got the 20-minute version, and you don't have to ask me if you don't want to hear this whole spiel again. But I get asked that question a lot, not only in, you know, Twitch or YouTube messages or emails, but also just in random conversations with people all the time. When, you know, I meet people through work or whatever, and they just ask my background and ask how I get to this point. So I figured I would do a video on that. Hopefully that helps some people out. If not, at least thanks for listening if you stayed. If not, if you hate what I said, at least hopefully you like the background music, and hopefully I wasn't drowning it out, or it wasn't drowning me out. But that's that. I'll do more videos on more things later. If you have any critiques, if you hate the fact that, you know, I brought up, you know, chips on the shoulders and all that stuff, or anything, like I said, I'm always open to other perspectives, viewpoints, ideas. I don't shut that down. Everything's a teachable moment. If you feel like you've got something to teach me, leave a comment below. Constructive criticism, negative criticism, harsh criticism, I'll take it all. You know, I just want to open conversations with you all. So thanks for watching. I have more videos coming up later, and I'll talk to y'all soon.